Hi guys, the purpose of this video is to talk about time entry. Time entry at BGW is really only important for one reason. It's our cost accounting system. By entering in your time, we understand what it takes to service a client, and then we also understand what it takes to service internal projects like EOS or training or other things like that. So it's really important to us so we know where we're spending our only product, which is our time, and the only commodity that we have available that we can't make more of. So appreciate it in advance. I know it's a pain in the butt. I've never liked doing it, but unfortunately it is a necessary evil at any public accounting firm. So today I'm going to show you what we need to be doing for time entry within Practice CS. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is just general time entry. To enter in your time, you go to Staff, Time and Expense Entry, and you get this screen that pops up. A couple different things that you can do with your time entry is you can either enter in what's called a sheet date up here for every single date that you have to enter in time, which is what I do. You can also enter in multiple entries for multiple days on one sheet. You can do that. I don't really advise doing that because what I like to do here as a best practice is first off, know when I last entered in time. Now we're supposed to enter in time daily. I've been pretty bad because I was on paid time off last week, so I've got a few open dates here that I need to go enter in. But as you can see, every date that I've entered something, I've got a red mark, so it helps me keep track of what I've entered. So what I do to enter in a new timesheet is I click on the date that I want to enter in the time, and if I have, let's say it's CPE, I'll look up the charge code. There we go, it's internal training. Every time entry has to have an engagement associated with it. In this case, may or may not be a project. I can click on the drop down arrow if I want. Activity, I would pick CPE. Oh, sorry. Firm admin. Sorry, non-chargeable time, that's what I meant to go with. And then the amount of time that I spent on it, I can also enter a comment saying internal CRL training. So that's generally how you enter in time. If I have client time, let's say I went to a client meeting, I can again look up the client. I pick consulting because I had a client meeting. There is no project, and I pick client meeting, 1 hour. Let's say that I also had a follow-up email that I had to do for the same client. All right. In this case, it's pretty self-evident that I had a meeting and the date that the meeting occurred. However, with an email, I probably want to document what I actually did. So sent over cash flow projection, which incorporates both the cash flow projection that I did plus the email that I sent summarizing what we did with respect to the cash flow projection, how to operate it going forward. So next thing I want to cover off on is what if I have to enter in data associated with a project. So let's say I'm working on Stock Car Steel's tax return. Same client, engagement, corporate tax services, project, they have one outstanding right now. And what I can do here is I can pick the task associated with the task that I was working on. Let's say it was reviewing work papers. Now, this really is the way that we need to be entering in time associated with specific projects that we're working on, which are generally going to be tax returns, financial statements, tax plans, and any larger consulting projects that we have. That allows us to really track stuff at the project level so we know what kind of resources that we need going forward, whether or not we met the budget, blew the budget, came in under budget, all those things. So with this, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and enter in the specific task that we're working on. I'm going to highlight it. The other neat thing about it too is that if you do this real time, you could also complete the task by right-clicking and hit complete selected task. I'm not going to do that since this project is still outstanding. I click OK, and you know you did this right when this little folder appears right here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit 1 hour here. If it was just something that I was generally doing with respect to reviewing the tax return, not that big of a deal. However, if I really had to go above and beyond, and I really spent some extra time doing this that I didn't really think that I needed to do, because the client's books were a little bit sloppy, maybe you had a scope change, whatever, I'm going to go ahead and enter in a comment so that whoever's billing this engagement knows that I might have had a scope change. So to do that, I'm going to say possible scope change, none of the bank accounts were correctly reconciled. Cash was off by $100,000. Client asked us to just fix. This way the biller knows that this is above and beyond the normal course of what we would typically do. So that's how you enter in data or time entry associated with projects, along with areas that may be possible scope changes. With respect to time entry, there are really only 3 to 4 different categories that we should be using all the time. First off, with clients, again, you really want to bill most of your time to a project because that's the vast majority of what we do, even if it's meeting about the project either internally or externally, like a planning meeting, a review of a tax return, answering questions, whatever the case may be. Use consulting and client meetings for quarterly meetings that we have, and use the tax notice option for tax notices that we have so we can keep track of how much time we're putting into those. For practice development, one of the things that people often do is if they have a happy hour at night, they may not enter in time associated with that. Go ahead and enter in all your time, even if it's after hours time associated with practice development. Anything associated with an EOS box, go ahead and make sure you enter in that. And obviously, CPE, paid time off from holidays, enter in all that information. So I think what we're really going for is at the end of the day, firm admin should be somewhat limited to your overall entry because everything else should fall into one of the categories that we already have available, and we're really trying to do a good job of tracking where we're spending our time. So honestly, at BGW, there's very few times that we literally do nothing. So go ahead and use the codes that are available so we know where our time is going and can react accordingly. In terms of time entry, really, again, I'm not great about this. Everybody hates doing it, but again, it's a necessary evil, part of our employee handbook. We really should be entering in time daily. We should be using descriptions when we're not doing or when we're doing anything that is not routine associated with the project. We should be identifying scope changes as we think that we have them. And again, time is our cost accounting system. Can't make this point enough. So please enter all of it. We've never fired anybody for spending too much time on something, but we need the data for future learning and for scope changes. Thanks a lot. Hope this was helpful. And again, if you have any questions, just make sure you're reaching out to somebody next to you and asking them.